welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be talking all about saunas and how they've been helping me in my recovery so far. I am flipping obsessed with my infrared sauna blanket, so I'm probably going to waffle on a little bit, so you might want to grab a little cup of tea. Anyway, let's get into this. So a little bit of useless but pretty interesting history of saunas. Saunas have been used around the world since ancient times, dating back to around 2000 BC. The Finns first popularised sauna use in Europe. Their ancient religious ceremonies use it for mental, spiritual and physical cleansing. Similarly, Native Americans have used sweat lodges for cleansing and purifying since prehistoric times, recognising health benefits as well. The oldest known saunas in Finland were made from pits dug in a slope in the ground and featured a fireplace where stones were heated to a high temperature and water was thrown on to produce steam and give a sensation of increased heat. So what are the benefits? Sauna therapy was something that kept coming up in my research. I kept hearing of these amazing studies. I'm just gonna go through a few of them, but there's tons out there. For example, a study from the Japanese Association of Medical Sciences on sauna therapy demonstrated the beneficial effects of sauning in relieving many diseases, including chronic heart disease, peripheral arterial disease, lifestyle-related diseases, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, mild depression, and chronic fatigue syndrome. In this study, 13 female patients with fibromyalgia syndrome received the therapy, and all 13 patients experienced a significant reduction in pain by half after the first session of sauna therapy, and the effects became stable after 10 treatments. They also observed many patients with chronic fatigue syndrome were successfully treated using sauna therapy. I'll add the link to this full study in the video because it's quite a long read. But it's really interesting. In another study, this one was a 20-year study from Scandinavia involving over 2,000 men, was recently published in the journal JAMA Internal Medicine. The study reported men who take a sauna between 4 to 7 times a week may be 63% less likely to experience cardiac death. And lastly, an Australian study demonstrated the benefits of sauna therapy to the immune system. Of a study group of 50 participants, 25 had regular sauna therapy, 25 didn't. Over a 6-month period, the sauna group had significantly less colds than the non-sauna group. The incidence of colds was 50% less during the last 3 months of the study in the sauna group. So how does it work? The basic aim of a sauna is to heat the body by several degrees, and the body then attempts to lower its temperature by driving blood to the skin surface and sweating. The blood vessels expand, boosting circulation, and as more blood flows throughout the body, more oxygen and nutrients are flushed through the body system, and this has a deeply relaxing and energizing effect. Dry saunas, like those used in Scandinavian countries, heat the air and the body, whereas far infrared saunas emit energy which only heat the body and not the air. According to the Optimum Health Clinic, many chronic fatigue patients cannot tolerate the level of heat in dry saunas, so they recommend using infrared saunas instead. This is because the far infrared heat penetrates several centimeters into the skin and subcutaneous tissues to mobilize chemicals without initially increasing core temperature, and this way the heat is much better tolerated. So while traditional saunas clearly seem to have their benefits, it was the infrared saunas that got me really excited. They seem to have even more benefits. So what's really interesting is that far infrared therapy was actually pioneered by NASA and deployed in space shuttles in the 1980s to maintain the cardiovascular fitness of astronauts on space journeys. When exposed to zero gravity for long periods, the body and muscles, particularly the heart muscle, become quickly deconditioned. The far infrared heat was deployed in space to counteract this. So in other words, far infrared therapy has been shown to have similar benefits and cardiovascular effect as exercise, but without the stress or difficulties that may come with conventional exercise. This may be helpful for those who are unable to exercise, so aka with fatigue related conditions. So for me, this was one of the biggest reasons that made me want to try saunas. I was so desperate to sort of achieve that feeling that exercise used to give me, but without the consequences of a crash or payback as I was getting a lot. So according to an international report, over the last 25 years, Japanese and Chinese researchers and clinicians have completed extensive research on far infrared treatments and have reported many exciting findings. In Japan, there is an infrared society composed of medical doctors and physical therapists dedicated to further infrared research. Their findings support the health benefits of far infrared therapy as a method of healing. So the potential beneficial effects of far infrared therapy include improved circulation and reduced congestion, prevention of bacterial and viral growth, elimination of toxins including heavy metals, chemicals and metabolic waste, improved cellular metabolism, improved oxygen levels in the body, inhibition of the sympathetic fight-or-flight nervous system and promotion of the parasympathetic rest and digest response, enhanced growth and repair of tissues, balanced acidity of the body, many of the benefits of exercise without exertion, relaxation of muscles, promotion of deep tissue heating and healing, activation of water molecules in the body, making internal water reserves more healing, and far infrared light therapy has also been used for chronic fatigue and has been shown to assist with cell repair and mitochondrial function. And what is it beneficial for? Anyone with toxins, viral infections, multiple chemical sensitivities, chronic fatigue syndrome, insomnia, muscle, joint and nerve pain of any kind, low body temperature and cold hands and feet, overactive sympathetic fight and flight nervous system, digestive disorders, inflammation and low immunity. I first learnt about infrared saunas in Dr. Sarah Myhill's book. I'm probably going to blabber on a lot about her book in lots of videos, but I am going to do a separate video just about her book because it's really interesting. Dr. Sarah Myhill, for the last 30 years, has been working to identify and treat the underlying causes of chronic fatigue syndrome, and she's apparently treated an excess of 10,000 chronic fatigue syndrome / ME sufferers. In her book, she explains that the idea behind infrared saunas is that toxic chemicals that have been dumped by the body in the fat, including subcutaneous fat, are shaken up and boiled off through the skin where they dissolve on the lipid layer on the skin surface. Yes, I'm reading this because it's very technical. So she also says that showering, that's terrible in my accent. Maybe I need subtitles. Let's do that again. She says that showering off these chemicals is as important as the sauna, otherwise they would simply reabsorb. She explains that it's not necessary to sweat for far infrared sauna to be effective. Apparently most chemicals come out in the first 5 to 10 minutes, so little and often can get the best results. She explains that roughly speaking, 50 far infrared saunas will cut the toxic load in half as chemicals are removed exponentially. A further 50 saunas will reduce the toxic load to 25% of the total and so on. But she says it's never possible to get rid of every last toxic molecule because you'll end up in a state of equilibrium with the environment, which of course is always polluted. She's done fat biopsies and gene studies on patients before and after infrared saunas and has noted that the levels of pesticides and VOCs come down reliably as well. Not really sure what that means, but... And in another book by Dr. Sherry A. Rogers, Detoxify or Die, she explains that far infrared wavelengths lower lactic acid, stimulates endorphins and kills organisms like bacteria and parasites, and more importantly, they penetrate the tissues, detoxify the cells by vibrating ionic bonds, stop swelling, improves lymphatic flow and blood circulation and calcium to cell membranes where it is needed for healing. I also came across an article about chronic fatigue that was saying that some experts have reported elevated levels of oxidative stress and free radicals in chronic fatigue syndrome and ME. This subsequently impairs cellular energy production, ATP, and mitochondrial function. Studies have demonstrated that regular far-infrared sauna therapy can reduce oxidative stress. So it's all well and good having all that science and all those studies and blah blah blah, but all I care about is what did it do for me? So my experience of sauna use. At the minute, I use both dry sauna and an infrared sauna blanket. I started saunaing around 7 months ago or so. This was a time when I was really struggling to do physical activity, and to be honest, I was just in a terrible state, like physically and mentally. I always relied on exercise as a form of just everything really, like, you know, coping with stress, and I just like got so much out of exercise. It was my favorite thing to do, and back before I started using the saunas, any physical activity I did would result in like massive payback. So like it was hardly worth it, you know. I'd go out, think, oh, I'll go for a walk, you know, I'll feel mentally better for it, and I would, but then it would be like a massive hangover after, so it sort of defeated the purpose. But anyway, so like I said earlier, getting the same benefit as exercise is one of the things that drew me to using saunas. So I did a little bit of research in my area and found that there was a gym nearby that had a sauna, but because of lockdown it was shut. However, the Optimum Health Clinic, who I was seeing and still am seeing, they recommended getting an infrared sauna blanket to help with the detoxing protocol I was on. And when I looked this up, I was quite surprised. It was pretty affordable. Actually, it was cheaper than what I was spending on supplements each month, so I thought it was worth a try. The Optimum Health Clinic advised me to start low and go slow, as with anything with fatigue related conditions. Apparently some people can experience detox symptoms when beginning to sauna, so it is recommended to build it up from like a low heat for a short time. So I began using it for about 5 to 10 minutes, but I quickly discovered that I did not want to get out of that sauna blanket. So I quickly whacked it up to 60 degrees and I was staying it for up to 50 minutes pretty much every day. Thankfully, I didn't experience any adverse effects through this. So the first thing that I noticed after finishing the sauna was I started to feel similar benefits to exercise without that payback. My mood increased, my circulation improved, and I generally felt a little bit more energized. I started to visualize the sauna blanket like, you know, one of those wee like wireless phone chargers. So I would be lying in it, like imagining these infrared rays were like repairing my cells and basically like charging up my battery. I'd also often listen to meditation tracks while in the sauna blanket. So this was like double whammy relaxation. Actually, yesterday I was listening to one and I totally fell asleep. So I was already pretty into meditation and was already feeling the benefits with that alone. But I often find that I'd struggle to sit for 20 minutes or more because I'm so impatient. But being in the sauna blanket, it was so warm and cozy, I just didn't want to get out of it. So that in itself sort of made me want to sit and meditate for longer. It felt like a big massive hug. So the sauna blanket like quickly became my little getaway. I had it on the bed of the spare room upstairs and I'd wait till my parents were going out for a walk and I would switch it on, crawl inside, meditate and just escape the world for a little bit. I found it especially useful when I started to increase my activity. So I'd go for a walk and then as soon as I get back, I would go lie in the sauna blanket for a while. Over time, I noticed my health was slowly starting to improve with regular sauna use. That being said, I was trying so many other things as well, so I think this has just been like a big part of a massive picture of lots of things, but I could definitely definitely tell the benefits from using it. Eventually, after a full year off work where I was just focusing on recovery, I was able to return back to work just these last couple of months. And at the start, going back to work was very stressful. I struggled, really struggled, but I started dedicating 30 minutes of my lunch break every day to crawling in that sauna blanket, and that just totally helped calm my nervous system down, recharge my battery, and it just really helped. Things really started to skyrocket these past few months when I started combining the saunas and the cold showering. But I'm going to do a separate video all about cold therapy soon, because that has been massive for me. So eventually I did join a gym with a spa whenever they opened, and I started using the dry sauna there and the steam room for about 4 to 5 times a week, alternating it with an ice cold shower in between. And like literally, like, I think I will do this for the rest of my life, even when I'm 100% better. So like I said, as with everything, it is really difficult to tell what is working and what isn't, because if you're like me, like I just am like, this sounds like it's going to help, I'm going to try that. And I just have so many different variabilities in the things I'm trying. But I can confidently recommend using a sauna if you're recovering from a chronic illness, fatigue-related illness, or even if you're perfectly healthy. I think everyone can benefit from the relaxing effects of using a sauna. So in summary, the pros and cons that I have found of using an infrared sauna blanket are: increases my mood, puts me in a calm healing state, post-exercise endorphins buzz. I can lie down during it, so it uses less energy. I can do it in the house. It is a bearable, comfortable heat. I can pretty much stay in it at the top degrees, 60 degrees, for up to, it takes me about 40 minutes before I would start sweating. It's relatively affordable and it helps me sleep. Sometimes, quite often, I fall asleep inside it, and it feels like a big warm hug. It is the most comforting thing. If you just imagine, like, you know, the electric blankets that you get on your bed, just imagine like it being a cold day and just curling up in one of those and being so cozy. So the cons, there weren't many, but yeah, if you do sweat, you have to clean it, so that's one extra thing to do, but I find it quite easy. And another con would be it's difficult to get out of it. I could stay in it all day, but that's not a bad thing. So the particular brand of infrared sauna blanket I have is the Firzone FZ200. Dr. Sarah Myhill in her book recommended 2 brands of sauna blankets, Get Fit and Firzone. I've heard amazing things about Get Fit saunas. Apparently they even come with guides and plans, but they were pretty expensive. The Optimum Health Clinic recommended the Firzone one to me, and this was the more affordable one, so that's what I went for. According to their website, Firzone have been creating sauna blankets for over 13 years, and apparently they use a low voltage, zero EMF control box, which makes them safer and more eco-friendly to use. I'm just going to do a quick demonstration of how to use the Firzone sauna blanket. So as you can see here, it comes in 2 parts. The first part is the sauna blanket itself, and then it's connected to a little power box here. So I'm just going to show you exactly how I set up the sauna blanket. So I first of all wrap it up and then switch it on, and then I crawl into it like a sleeping bag. But you could easily switch it on, lie down and wrap it up around you, but this is just how I do it. So first of all, you just grab one edge and fold it over. I like to wrap it up quite tight so it's nice and cozy. And it's just Velcro, so that's how it sticks together. And then fold it over, just like that. And then this box is just plugged in at the main, so I switch that on. It's on. And then click on. It's flickering just because of the camera, but it's not really flickering in real life. Then I personally switch it all the way up to 60 degrees. and I'll usually set it for about 45 minutes and then I hit start. And I recommend waiting for about 5 to 10 minutes before getting in, just so it's a bit warmer. So I'll usually set this up and then walk about the house a little bit, come back in 5 minutes and then crawl inside. So this is probably not going to be very graceful, but pretty much I just go inside, not in clothes, but obviously I'm going to wear clothes in the video, and then just like a sleeping bag, crawl into it like a little cocoon and then get cozy. Ah, it's so cozy. Ah. And then it's just amazing. I'll lie here for about half an hour. I'll put on a meditation on my phone. Sometimes I sleep. So that's about it for how to use the sauna blanket. It couldn't really be any simpler, and I absolutely love it. So if you have any specific questions about it, then feel free to comment on the video or send me a private message and I'll respond to you. So in the description of this video, I'm going to add so many links. Links to the studies that I mentioned. I also recommend having a look on the Get Fit Saunas website. They have a free infrared sauna PDF guide, which is really interesting. They also have a lot of case studies on their website, so for different conditions, and that's worth a read. And I'll also share a great podcast on infrared saunas. Thank you for watching. I hope that wasn't too much of a head melt. I find it pretty interesting reading up on all these studies, so I hope you did too. And if you did find it interesting and you want to see more videos like this, then feel free to follow or like this page and there will be more coming soon. Thank you and bye.